Hi guys, Glad Keeper here, and today what I'd like to do is show you how to make your own travel shaft for the Minelab Excalibur metal detector out of some old mop handles and tape, glue, stuff like. No, just kidding. We're gonna build something that's pretty darn close to the ones that you're gonna buy online for $150 or so. What I used here was some aircraft aluminum. This stuff here can be bought online. I bought this material online from a company, Aircraft Spruce and Specialties, and this is type 6061 aluminum. And you're gonna have to forgive me here. The camera crew bailed on me today, so I'm kind of doing this on my own. Sometimes I get out of the frame, and just yell at me a little bit if I'm going off track here. Yeah, this is type 6061 T6 aluminum. It's aircraft quality, pretty good stuff. And what I bought was I bought a foot of 3/4 inch OD. I bought 5 feet of 7/8 OD and 1 foot of 1 inch OD. Now the inside diameter of this stuff varies a little bit. Basically, what you want to be able to do is slide one piece inside the other. Very close tolerance. You're working to about maybe 7/1000ths of an inch. So your IDs and your ODs are going to be kind of important when you're ordering this stuff. They do have a couple different sizes. So basically, what you want to do is you want to be at least say about 7/1000ths of an inch smaller on your on the piece that's going to fit inside your tubing. That's what kind of tolerance we're looking at here. So all said and done with that aluminum, it was about $32, and that took care of the structural part of this project. What I also got was some material from Anderson, and at Anderson I bought this this handle grip here that you can see here. Let me just make sure that I'm in the frame good. Okay, and standoff hardware. Basically, you've got a couple of spacers here that are curved. The contour of this spacer will fit onto the 7/8 shaft perfectly, and then you've got a standoff. 3-inch long, 1/4 20 shoulder bolt with a knurled nut. These pieces here, these were, I think they were $4 a piece, and but well worth it. Because, to be honest, I don't know where I was going to get these standoffs with the spacer with the curve on it that will fit against the 7/8 shaft. The other item I got from Anderson was this. It's a shaft lock, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. They use these shaft locks in all their products. Let's start out with the, why don't we go to the stock shaft? As you can tell, I didn't have the stock shaft on the table here like I was supposed to. You have to pardon me for that. This is your old S shaft. This is the culprit right here, the Minelab Excalibur. This is the whole reason that everyone goes to this. Your over-under shafts, your straight shafts, your extension shafts. You've got the ones that come in the back here for your to offset your controller and battery to the back of your forearm rest. I think the reason that they have this shaft is, I believe, for diving reasons. And it just doesn't work good. It's not a very good, it's not ergonomically designed for the metal detectorist that's going to be walking along the shoreline, doing land hunting, or in the surf. It's just, what it does is it puts most of the weight closer towards the coil. So now all your weight's on the end of the shaft, and it puts a tremendous amount of strain on your body. You end up with things like tendonitis here, like I have. So the older we get, the harder it is to use these stock shafts. Along with that stock shaft, we've got the forearm rest here. Forearm rest goes down the end over here. This piece here we're going to use on our shaft. We're going to reuse this. We're going to repurpose this. That's the word of the day, repurpose. This particular guy right here, you can see that it's got a different bend to it than yours might have. Typically they come straight. It's like a stock curve, and it's I think it was designed for Popeye. Pretty big arc in it. What I did was I took mine and I heated it up with the heat gun, and I fit it to the contour of my arm, my forearm. So this right now, try doing that with the stock one. It's not going to happen. This guy here, what you want to do, put on a sweatshirt so you don't burn yourself. Get a heat gun, pair of leather gloves, warm it up, and form it to your arm where you like it. See where first you want to see where you position it on your machine. Position your arm in this forearm rest, and then form it to your arm. It's a whole lot better than the factory bend. Another thing I did with this was, you could see this slot on both sides along here. I slotted this out for a piece of Velcro, a Velcro strap. Now, I think mine have a good intention. They didn't put a strap on this from the factory, probably for safety reasons. If you were, let's say you were diving and you had an emergency and you had to get away from your equipment really quick, if it's strapped to your arm, it probably wouldn't be a safe thing. So that's probably what they had in mind when they didn't put a strap on. For the type of detecting that I do, I want a strap. I want this thing secured to my forearm, because the less that this wobbles around, the more stable my arm is, and I think it's just healthier for you all around. It takes less of a toll on your body joints. So also on the side over here, see, this is the matching part of the Velcro, and I put this on here with actually it was Gorilla Glue, and it's been on there for a few years now. Been in and out of the salt water. It no problem with it staying on there. So that's where I put my Velcro. Strap comes around, lands on there, and it's all good. Another thing you may have to do is these two wings here that originally, this would be for, to rest it down on the sand or whatever. You may have to bend this up a little bit to clear your battery when this piece is repurposed to fit onto your machine. Companies like Anderson, let's say, they don't have these wings on it, and I think the reason being is it hits against the controller of the battery. So you may have to just bend that other way. You could cut it off. You don't even need it anymore. Okay, let's talk about the handle here. Now, this is the only place you're going to use the 1-inch stock right here. This particular piece, 3 inches long. The 1-inch stock is 3 inches long. And this is a piece of 7/8 here, and that I measured it before I put this on. It's 5 1/8 inches long. This piece of 7/8 stock. And what I did was I welded this myself. Unbeknownst to me, I always thought you needed MIG, TIG, or something along those lines to weld aluminum. But you can actually weld aluminum with propane, with an aluminum welding rod, and a stainless steel brush. I was shocked. I welded this myself. It's not the prettiest weld in the world, but I'll tell you what. This weld is as strong as the day is long. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked myself. Go online. There's a lot of tutorials on how to weld aluminum. You don't have to worry so much about the tubing collapsing when you're welding. This weld material here, this filler, will melt at about 750 degrees, and this aluminum stock is going to be substantially higher. So as long as you're playing your flame right, you're not going to have a problem with burning holes through your tubing as you're doing it. If you can see in there is no distortion or anything like that. So this does slide right over. That's 7/8 shaft fairly easy. So we've got that measurement out of the way. Why don't we take a look at these other measurements while we're here? Now, I've got this piece here still on the machine. Let me pop this off. This guy here is the piece. This is considered an over-under travel shaft. This would be the lower part, the under. This holds the battery and the controller. This particular piece is 13 3/4 of an inch long. Now, if we go down the line with the holes, these holes are all in a line. They're all 1/4 inch holes. Every hole that you are going to drill into this aluminum is a 1/4 inch hole. Drill a hole, deburr it, and you should be good to go. This first hole is centered up at 3/4 of an inch. I've got 4 1/16. I've got 6 7/8, and I've got 9 3/4, and 12 7/8. Right down the line. When you're drilling your holes, start with these 3 guys. Basically, those guys there, the same centers as these. So you could take the measurement off of your stock S shaft and drill those out first. It's in the center of this piece of pipe. The 2 holes on the ends are for your standoffs. These guys here can be, you can put your controller on, you put the battery on, and use that to dictate where these holes can go so that you're clear of any obstructions. Now, on the main shaft, we've got this lower piece here. This lower piece, I have a tendency of pulling out of the frame. I'm sorry for that. This lower piece, let me just double check here to make sure, is 18 inches long. Okay? We've got a hole from the end at 2 3/8 and 15 7/8, both in a line. Now, again, before you drill, do some measuring. Make sure. I'm just throwing these numbers out there kind of quick. It's kind of, this piece here probably more critical than anything else because of the way that the holes are lined up in your battery and your controller. Everything else, if you're off that tiny bit, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Now, this is your upper main shaft, and this guy here, 18 inches long. So the 2 of these together, 3 feet, 36 inches. That's the length, total length of your shaft. Now, I'm measuring 2 1/4, 5 1/4, 7 1/16, 15 3/8, 17 3/8. Bear in mind, 2 of these holes are going to be off 90 degrees from the other holes. So you've got your standoff hardware, and then you've got your hardware that this particular hole down here would be for your 4-arm rest. This one here is for your handle, and this one here is for the coupling, the custom coupling that we're using to join these 2 shafts together. Okay, why don't we take a look at the coupling, what we're going to use for coupling. put our shafts together. You guys recognize this? That's right. That's the part that's still in your Minelab box, the one that you never used. You say, what the hell am I going to do with that? It's kind of short. This is your dive shaft. I think the majority of owners of the Minelab Excalibur do not dive. So there's a good chance that you're going to have this sitting in your box, new, unused. I used this piece here, fiberglass. I repurposed this so that this would become the coupling for my main shaft. Basically what I did with this piece here was I depressed the button lock, pulled this out. These guys will pull right out for you, and I'll explain that in a minute, how they come out of there. You get a piece of threaded rod, about 1 foot long, 3/8 threaded rod, slide it down the shaft. Now when you're going down there, this is the piece that I knocked out of the other one. Don't rest on the edge here. Make sure you go all the way down this barrel. Knock it out with a hammer. It's gonna pop. It's gonna pop right out of there, and you'll be left with this, undamaged. This is glued in there, not much glue. So basically, this is a factory push button that came with it. You're gonna drill another 1/4 inch hole down here, and put another push button in. Now these push buttons, these guys here, repurposing again. I took some out of a White's PI machine, and they're all made by Valco. Valco makes these button clips. They call them button clips. The number was a D131X, and the X denotes stainless steel. There are some people out there manufacturing. Well, I know I have a shaft from a name brand manufacturer, and these buttons are rusting. And I don't know if they put zinc in there or what the deal was, but a little disappointed. These guys here can be repurposed. You can take them out of your Minelab shaft. They're all the same. I had some out of my Minelab. I had them out of my Whites. They were both made by Valco, and they were both the D131X. So why don't we start to put this together a little bit here. We've got the lower shaft down there. We've got this, the controller, this guy here. So basically what I'm going to do is take this 1/4 inch bolt, 1/4 by 3 inch long shoulder bolt that I got from Anderson. Put the spacer in, put your standoff, your other spacer. This guy goes right in there like that. Put your knurled nut on. We'll leave it a little bit loose for now. The Minelab 4 armrest right here. Slides down. Oh, one more thing. What I ground this down just a little bit here to so that this would fit up against the. I wanted this back as far as I could. It's actually, I'm lying. I was actually off a little bit on one of my holes, so I just ground this down, and that fits in there. And what I'm going to use is the factory, the stock bolt that came with it. It's a 1/4 again, 1/4 plastic bolt, hex head by 1.5 inches long, and that guy just pops in there, and the wing nut goes over here, like so. Now, I guess back on the subject of the handle, and I don't think I fully explained what I did here. To get, you want your 7/8 shaft, piece of 7/8 aluminum here to match the contour of this 1 inch. So what I did was I took this piece of pipe, chucked it up in a vise, and I've got a 1 inch diameter, approximately 1 inch diameter half round file. It doesn't have to be exactly 1 inch diameter. I had one that was pretty close, and what I did was I filed it down. If you file down this, you take a piece of pipe like this, you're filing it down, eventually you'll get it to match the contour without much of an air gap. And that's going to help you when you're welding, doing your aluminum welds. So half round file, I pulled it out maybe about a 15-degree bend, file it down at an angle, the angle that you want, and that way there you can fit these two pieces together, brush it with your stainless steel brush, and that'll weld right up for you. So let's take our handle and we'll put that on here, and that is going in right there. Let me find my hardware for that. Right there in front of me. Stock quarter 20 hardware. This stuff here came from Home Depot. They have all different sizes, all different. You can get it in slotted, hex head, wing nuts, whatever you want. Lock nuts, wing nuts, knurled nuts. It's all available out there. I bought some of the stuff to have with. When I go on vacation, I go down the Caribbean every year. I try to go down the Caribbean for a week every year, and that's basically the reason I'm building this shaft. I have a Minelab. I have another Minelab Excalibur that I use exclusively up here, just north of the equator where I live, where it's very cold. And that machine I use 98% of the time. It's set up with an Anderson shaft, an over-under shaft. It's carbon fiber. I love it. It does what I needed. It takes a lot of the stress off of my arms. And I liked it so much that I decided to build a travel. They get expensive. I mean, I'm building this thing here. I could build this for about $60. It was going to cost me a little more than twice as much to buy one of these things. So not only am I up for the challenge, part of the reason we do this stuff. Hey, we're making America great again. Look what we can do. So, anyways, that's why I'm building this shaft. It's because I really needed something for that 1 week that I go away down the Caribbean, and this is going to make a world of difference. I know it will, because it's going to be exactly the same as my other shaft. So we've got that in there, that hardware. Again, this is that package that came from Anderson. Shoulder bolt through. Our curved spacer. Sand off. The other curved spacer. And down through, bada bing. There we go. There we have it. That's the bottom section right there. You guys may have noticed the on the ends here, I have these Hakko bushings. This is a stock electrical item. They've been around for years. Hakko's been around for a long time. These guys here, what was the model? The number? It was a Hakko. Geez, for the life of me, I can't think of the name. It was 2092. It was a 2092 was the part number on it. And I bought 50 of these for $15. Do you need it? No. Do I want it? Yeah. I like it because it looks professional. It looks like it was store-bought. And that's kind of what we're shooting for. Something that's going to work really well, and it's also going to look good. And speaking of looking good, you're probably wondering why it looks like it's been chromed. And this hasn't been chromed. Basically what I did was I took, this is the stock aluminum right here. You can see it's got writing on it. And I just buffed it out. Little red rouge. And this thing is shiny as, wow. You can see yourself in it. Again, while we're on that subject, I thought about anodizing. I thought about powder coating. But those two things, I mean, this is powder coat on here. This is powder coat on my Minelab S shaft. And what happens is the salt water gets underneath there, and it really starts to to take its toll on it. So the way I looked at it was, it'd be better off to not have it on there than to have it on there. I happen to have a travel scoop. It's all aluminum, and I've never had a problem with that yet. I rinse it off every time I use it, and it's always good to go. So that's the reason. No anodization and no powder coating. Okay, so let's take the lower part of the main shaft. Why don't we talk about this just a little bit before I put it together? Okay, this guy here has the Anderson shaft lock on it. This shaft lock will fit over a 7/8 diameter pipe, and it seems like it's a little tapered. So you actually, for the last 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch or so, you kind of bang it on a little bit, not too hard, but it goes on there. It's bottomed out. You can see it's bottomed in there. What you're going to have to do is figure out where in the shaft this hole is going to line up. This plastic screw right here goes through the thread on the plastic lock, and it's the plastic lock is the actual threaded part. So, and it goes through a hole. It's a 1/4 inch clearance hole that goes right through the aluminum shaft, and what's going to happen is this piece here is going to rest up against your fiberglass lower rod. So put that on there kind of loose. Now, we're up. My coupling. This coupling here, you know, I pre-drilled a couple holes. Basically, it's pretty simple. You'll figure it out. Find the center of your coupling and run it down to here. Lay it out. Drill. You could drill right through both of them at the same time if you want. I use a drill press. Do you need a drill press? No. Does it help out? Sure, it helps out a little bit. That guy is locked in there. This guy locked in there. Look at that, huh? Coming together now. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got down to here. Let's look at my old. This is my original machine. This is my blue Excalibur that I'm building this for. My original machine is my vacation machine. What I did was a couple of years ago I retired it, bought a new one, beat up the new one, sold that, bought another new one. So I have the Excalibur 2 now set up on on an Anderson over-under carbon fiber shaft. I love it. Nice setup. But I don't want to break it down, you know, every time I have to go somewhere. So, you know, the machine that I retired, my Excal 1000, the old blue one, old trusty blue. This is my vacation machine, and the thing's working 100% now, and there's no reason to get rid of it. This lower shaft has seen some use. You can see right along here that the fiberglass is actually a little worn. A lot of the resin, you can almost see the cloth, the cloth coming through. So a lot of the resin is gone. The 2 parts of epoxy that you put on there. So what I did was when I drilled this hole in the shaft, in my lower shaft, to accommodate this guy right here, I went up a little bit further. I went up like a 1/2 inch. So I've got a 1/2 inch of extra meat inside the 7/8 aluminum. So that'll help keep some of the wobble down. I don't think there's really any wobble per se, but I think it's going to make it a little more, the structural integrity will be just a little bit more than the way it is right now. So this guy here is going to slide in there, locked in. This guy here tightens down my shaft lock, and that is in there. So, you know, again, you know, you might find the standoff hardware a little bit less expensive somewhere. If you do, let me know, by all means. All said and done, I am probably into this for about, I want to say about maybe $55. I mean, I didn't have to buy all those bushes. I didn't have to buy all this pipe. I bought this piece of 3/4 inch, and as it turns out, I didn't use it. I was going to use this as my coupling in here, and then, you know, in the middle of the build, I decided, well, because of the problem you have with galling and seizure with aluminum to aluminum in a saltwater environment, if you're not right on top of it, like every day, you really need to wash out your machine when you're on vacation. If you have an aluminum connection, such as I do with my scoop, you really have to stay on top of it because it could seize up over the period of a week, and you may end up leaving your shaft down in the Dominican, down in Punta Cana or something, or down in Aruba on Baby Beach. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is keep our equipment with us. So I opted not to use this. Can you use it? Absolutely. So you don't need the piece of fiberglass to go in here. You could use a piece of 3/4 inch aluminum, make a coupling out of that, put a little anti-seize grease on it before you go away, and just keep an eye on it, and you should be fine. So there you have it. This is the over-under shaft. One more little feature that I thought about as it went along was you can pull this guy out, and if you're into diving, if you're working the beach, you're walking along the beach, and then you want to go diving with your machine when you're away, take this guy, the guy that I said that was in your box, take this guy along with you, and pop that right in. You're all set to go diving. So for the money, and to be honest, I'm really happy with it. I have used it once already, and I like it a lot. Just looking at it again, just remember, you may have to bend the wing out of the way. You could cut the wing right off. You don't need it. But there you go. So good luck on your build, and happy hunting.